Where am I?
Hello.
Where did I just go?
Welcome to a very special edition of Game Club. We're here to talk about Life is Strange, and we're joined by our very good friend, Mr. Greg Miller.
Hello.
How you doing, Greg?
I'm good. How are you?
That's
I wish
Greg.
you had just
Thanks
been
for
like
having
our very
us.
good friend,
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan Haywood.
And Meg Turney.
Yay.
And as always, Gus Sorola.
Yeah.
So we're here for our monthly game club to talk about Life is Strange. You look really much bigger than me. It's an optical illusion.
sitting
It's
in a rut.
it's the
I'll go further
the way
back.
this goes.
I'll do this too.
Okay. It's,
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
forced
Yeah.
perspective.
Really getting
much
yeah,
better.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable. Just really kind of get in there.
Smells good.
You do smell good.
Yeah.
I like how much you're emphasizing the crotch here.
Meg, I know how to pose. You can take a few lessons. From
I
me.
need to. I need you to come be my coach.
I heard kissy noises as he kissed my shoulder.
No, that
Oh,
didn't
you
happen.
kissed
No.
it?
That'd be weird.
Here to talk about
Fun.
Life is Strange, and life is definitely very strange right now.
Yeah.
5-part series released by Don't Nod.
Yep.
Which I love the name of that
Yeah, great.
studio.
With the
It's a
inverted
palindrome, yeah. And it's about a 18-year-old girl who discovers she's going to boarding school essentially, and she discovers she has the ability to rewind time. And what would an 18-year-old girl do but solve mysteries?
Right. She becomes a one-woman Scooby-Doo.
Was the premonition?
Well, there's
of the
more
tornado.
than one.
Oh,
There's-
right.
She's got her Girl Friday.
Oh, that's true. She has her lovely lady, Chloe.
Yeah. And then the occasional Warren.
Yeah.
Warren
Warren,
is
her
there.
bitch.
Warren,
Her bitch.
yeah.
He
Warren,
delivers.
Sir Friend Zone.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my god, you feel so bad.
Whatever. I gave him a good kiss at the end.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing is like I have this whole interpretation of Warren's just this bitch the whole time. I'm like, no, dude, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I'm with Chloe. I like Chloe.
Oh,
blah,
did you
blah,
blow
blah.
him off?
Yeah, of course.
You
I did.
weren't gonna go to the movies with him?
No,
go to
no,
the
dude,
movies.
no,
Go to the
fuck him,
movies.
man.
Go to the
I
drive-in.
don't know.
It's Planet of the Apes.
You have to make your intentions clear with people.
You do.
Especially
It's a good movie, though.
significant other. It's a great movie. I'm not saying that. Maybe I sneak out to it with Chloe. You don't know.
That's true.
I didn't know I was
I
into
do
Chloe
agree
yet.
with Greg that you're not leading anybody on here. That's not very nice.
Exactly.
But he
I
gave
led
you a
them both
flash
on.
drive with Akira on it. So
Oh, right,
come
right.
on.
But it's one of those. He's trying so
he is
hard.
trying.
It's
He
like,
took a
bro.
punch in the face for you.
I know, and then I left like a complete
And then
jerk.
you laughed.
See ya.
Oh, God.
My wife watched me play, and when that scene happened, she was like, "That's kind of rude, isn't it? You're letting him get beat
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you're just driving off. Like,
No
he
one
can
gets
deal
help.
with this."
Yeah.
He's dangerous. We gotta flee. But Warren's fine. No,
But
Warren's a dude.
He says it. He's like, "Go, Max, run! Let me just get my face beaten."
So, if you denied Warren the whole time, did you end up kissing Chloe later
I
in the
did, yeah,
series?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I did
this is
both.
full spoilers, right?
yeah.
Like I let the world burn. My
Yeah?
canonical playthrough is like, let's get the fuck out of here,
Good
Chloe.
for you.
Because it's one of those things. I'm not going to sacrifice what we have in hopes that the world doesn't end.
Okay.
That's
You know what I
'cause
mean?
if it's not this, it's something else.
Exactly.
agree.
Exactly.
Hey, but how would you know you're not going to destroy the world more? Obviously, the world is ending because of the choice that you have made.
Sure.
How do you
to
know that it's
unend her.
your choices though? Because maybe there's other people who could rewind time, and even if you'd gone back, maybe there's an alternate timeline where somebody else is rewinding too much, and then
You
they
know how I
cause
know?
a tornado.
Because I rewinded time. I let her die, and the world didn't blow up.
You did, for
I
today,
saved a whole.
for today.
I saved a whole pot of whales.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I saved a bunch of birds and some townsfolk.
Speaking of
Joyce.
Speaking of
Joyce.
things that you had to save or people you had to save, why the fuck were you always having to save Alyssa? It's like,
don't know.
Alyssa, watch out with the football. Alyssa, don't get pushed into the pool.
And I missed one
Alyssa,
at some
there's
point.
going to be water splashing here. It's like, oh my god.
Because that fate has it in for her.
I also felt like Alyssa was like an offensive character because she was like a little bit heavyset, and also she had a voice that was like,
I don't know,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
and that was like a mean caricature of what they thought like a heavyset
Right.
girl should be like. Okay, Max, and then
Yeah.
she just moves. She's like the Eeyore of the game, and
Yeah.
I wasn't into it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely weird. Her character, I think, was the weirdest one that stood out to me.
I also thought it was weird that when they throw the football and hit her in the head, you have to rewind time to help her, or like she yells at you about
Well,
it.
you
She's
gotta
like,
see what happens.
I should really turn it back and save her. It's like, oh,
I think it's
I think it's just tutorial.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
early enough in
Yeah.
the game. They're trying to
Later
teach
on,
you.
they stopped doing that.
it's
Yeah.
the Hellas got me. Was
Yeah.
not a fan of
Why
all
the
the
Hellas
Hellas
bother you so much?
Oh my god, because they said it Hella so much.
I
Have
cringed.
you
Hella
ever
good
met
word.
Tim Getty? Like he says hell all the time. 'cause he's from
I
North
cringed
Carolina.
very frequently, and I was like, "Do kids really talk like this?" I was
No.
like, "What's going on?"
I have
Look.
said, and I will say it again, it sounds like Scott Pilgrim jizzed on a script, and they were like, do it, put it on there. That's the script for
Here's
Life is
the thing.
Strange.
The girl on the couch doesn't want to admit that that's how girls talk to each
don't.
other. This is hitting too close to home for
No,
her.
I felt like the voice acting and like the dialogue were so off for me. Like it sounded like what an adult thinks the teens would say. And then like the voice acting wouldn't really back it up. So like there would be something where like, oh man, that's hella shitty, which is like, okay, sure, someone could say that. And they'd be like, give me one moment. And they would like enunciate the whole word moment. I'm like, no kid does that. Like, give me a second or like whatever. Like it's very slurry, but then they didn't match up. It stood out to me.
Chloe was
It
super
broke your
cringy,
immersion.
I'll give you
It
that.
did.
Yeah, Chloe's dialogue as a whole was very...
I just want to blaze.
Yeah.
Like, all right, girl.
Yeah, she was like
do you.
memed,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So the story, there's several points in the story where things can branch and then change and then affect the reality that you operate on as the game goes on. But then I felt like it's kind of suffered from like Mass Effect syndrome, where at the end of the game you're essentially presented with two choices, and a lot of this seemed inconsequential. I don't know if that's like part of the story where it's like, well, you don't have to sweat these small things, even though it's people's lives in some cases. And in the end, it's just really the big choice you have to focus on. Like for example, in your playthrough, did anybody manage to save Kate?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I saved her.
I didn't.
You're a monster.
I could not figure it out. I was like,
Wow, couldn't
I was
summon
like,
up one small
No, I said
gram
lots of
human,
good things, but then I
decent
felt like it was at the
empathy.
very end I fucked it up. I was like, no, people love you. She's like, who? I was like, your mother? I don't know.
Yeah,
and then she was like, no, you don't know me at all.
You
she
didn't
jumped off. I was like,
explore a
You didn't
room.
read my
Yeah.
email. Oh!
Pretty much. I was like, you didn't work through my shit and tell me exactly all the people that loved me,
Yeah.
like my
Right.
sisters and my father.
I didn't spy on your email. I'm sorry. I
He wrote a
respected your
stirring
privacy.
note, Gus.
I
It
didn't
was
know.
touching.
I felt like I also was being like penalized for not being a nosy piece of shit all the time. Also, the girl who's pregnant, you're like, there's like 75 clues, and then she gets pissed off when you look at any of them.
Yeah.
It was really annoying. I felt very like, when I would do things, I would look at both choices and be like, well, they're both shit, so I guess I'll just tell her to go to the cops, even though she's upset that I
Yeah.
told her to go to the cops.
I
Like,
will say there was a super weird like Legend of Zelda sort of thing where it's just like I just walk into people's rooms and I'll just start like,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're there. They're there, and you're like opening their drawers. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Let me just.
Yeah.
You good? Yep.
Yeah.
Max.
Oh, what's over here?
Max, why are you taking photos of random things in my room?
Yeah.
I mean, just
Or, like,
rooting
Max,
through
Why are
everything.
you taking a fucking photo in the middle of class? Like, I thought it wanted me to do it, and then it made me do it again. The one big gripe I have about this game is I played it keyboard and mouse, and
Well, there you go. That's your problem. That's why
yes,
you didn't like
it.
yes,
That's
I think
brilliant.
that's exactly we've come to the bottom of it.
If you don't use
PC
keyboard and
Master
mouse, she never says hello.
It's only for that. But at the very beginning, when it's showing you the photo, it wants you to look at the photo. On keyboard and mouse, it highlights the photo, and then there's like a circle, and it says look under the circle, and it highlights the photo. So you think like, okay, I dragged to photo, and then like a little tutorial at the top is like, hey, you haven't done it in enough, like you've been waiting too long to do it. So put your cursor on the object and click it, or like on the look object and click it. Okay, so that object sounds like I gotta put it on the photo, but your mouse, like the photo's here, and your mouse could only go to here. It has like this invisible wall, and I'm like, I can't get to the photo. What is happening? So then I'm thinking like, oh, some option is messed up. So I go into the options. When you come out of options, you have to re-watch the cutscene of her waking up in class. Then I'm like, it still doesn't work. What the fuck? So I like exit to go Google what the fuck's happening, and it turns out you have to click look as opposed to the object, and then it like lets you you click the word look. But there's forum thread after forum thread after forum thread of people being like, what the fuck is wrong with my mouse?
Yeah.
I can't use it.
I didn't have that
I
problem
was
with
gonna
my
say,
controller.
don't be a huge fucking dork, and you'll be fine. Use a controller.
You can plug a controller in
Well,
here.
I wanted to, you know what? I wanted to play it on PS4,
Yeah.
but then I thought, oh, screw it, I'll just play it on Steam because then I can play it at work. Not on Mac.
Yeah.
Fucked me all the way around.
You can't win.
I couldn't win.
I really liked the game. This was a game that I was excited about, like the E3 when they announced it before the game came out, just because I was really excited and curious to see a game that was different.
Sure.
That wasn't like the same shit we see over and over. Like it wasn't a shooter. It wasn't a zombie game. It was like, at the time before I knew what the story was about, I was like, oh, it seems like an introspective story about like teenage girls, going around and
Gus
rewinding
loves
time.
Yeah, if
girls.
there's anything Gus loves,
Love,
it's
little
teenage
slice
girls.
of life.
Yeah.
So I'm really appreciative of the fact that we got to see something that was maybe a little more of an experiment.
Sure,
It wasn't
no.
like so secure.
I loved it, and I loved it for the same reasons you did, and I liked it that it was the fact that it was someone making a Telltale-like game that wasn't Telltale.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Let's make an episodic adventure that is about the story. And in the same way, to your point of like how you thought that, you know, all these choices still end up in the same endings, right? What I was talking about with Telltale games and with Life is Strange is the fact that I feel like we're all presented with the same coloring book page, right? And then it's always the same image, but the way we shade it and the interactions we have with each character, this, that, or the other, the choices we make there, even in the end, it's still the same image. We've just shaded it differently, and that's what makes it ours.
It's like it's your own perspective.
Exactly,
on it,
yeah.
right.
Because like, you know, there's always, you talk to somebody and they didn't have this conversation, or I didn't do what, you know, Meg did. And it's like, oh, okay, that changes it all around. Where it's like, you didn't help Warren. No, Warren sucks in my game. I don't like Warren. You know what I mean? He's some nerd.
Yeah.
I feel like I appreciate. It's almost like Firewatch for me. Like I didn't like the game Firewatch because of the game's ending.
Yep.
But I appreciate what Firewatch is and that it's an effort. And for the same reason, like I didn't like Life is Strange, but I appreciate that it was a non-Telltale game done by someone who, or like a Telltale-esque game that was done not by Telltale. But I also felt like that also had drawbacks. So like they show you your choices at the end, and it's like, yeah, but did I really make these choices, or did I see both outcomes and then get to choose? So it was like that's where you feel like the emotional payoff of a Telltale game.
Yeah.
Is that you make your choice and then you live with it.
You live with the consequences.
There were also some moments where, like, when they present your choices, where it's like, oh, I didn't make that choice. I must have missed that.
Yep,
Oh, that
there's
happened
a lot
every
of
time
those.
I hit the end of an episode. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I could do that, or that, or that.
Well,
And
it'd
I
be
felt like I was really looking around. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I was just blazing through the game. It's like, oh, you
Let's
know.
blaze, man.
Let's
She
blaze.
just wanted to blaze.
Hella
I was
blaze.
rooting through everything. I was knocking shit over on bookcases. I was rooting under beds.
That was
and
the worst
just
when you're
missed
like,
some
you
of
get
that.
to the end of the episode and you're still missing like 3 photos. You're like, what the hell was I supposed to do?
Yeah,
I
I
missed that.
don't think I discovered that you could take photos until episode 2 or maybe 3. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I missed all of
Yeah, I
this.
think 2 is when it really kicked in for me because I played episode 1 and then taken a break for some. I played episode 1 when it came out and then got distracted and waited and played it all again at Christmas. Like went through it, and that's when I was like, oh, this is a cool mechanic. Like I didn't know what the hell these photos were before, but now I get where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I think when the game initially came out, I had purchased it, and I
Yeah.
played episode 1 when it launched, and then I played episode 2 when it came out, but I stopped on episode 2 because I was like, I can't do it with these episodic games
Sure,
anymore. Like
sure,
I wanted to wait for everything to
Well, that's
come
the
out
thing,
and just play
right?
it all at
Whenever it's
once.
like previously on Life is Strange or whatever,
Yeah.
Walking Dead, you turn it on, you're like, oh right, that happened. Oh right, and but then it's like, well, what choice did I make, and where was this?
And more than that, it's like they'll tell you the choices, but I just want to remember, like, what was my motivation in making that choice?
Right,
like,
right,
what,
right,
what
right,
was the
right.
interaction that led to
Why
me
did I do that? Yeah.
choosing that? Because then you end up with an inconsistent playthrough.
Yeah.
Warren gets led on.
So-
Warren.
People hated the end of this game, like by and
Yeah.
large. The response was profoundly negative to the end of the game. What do you guys think? I mean, so it definitely was not a game that ever gave you the option of a true happy ending. Really.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's like life.
It is like life. There was
Which
they gave you like
we
the
both know.
dangle of a happy ending about a quarter of the way through, and then you realize that it's
I-
not. Or the quarter of the way through the 5th episode.
I was fine. I was content with the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was suitable.
Yeah.
When I interviewed the
I,
developers, right, I was talking about the fact that I'm like,
killed Chloe.
no, I mean, I rewind when I'm like, my real in my head canonical playthrough was, you know, I'm drive off with Chloe, and I'm like, that was kind of abrupt and short, and then you go back and when you kill her and you go through, you're like, well, clearly this is the real canon ending, right? Because there's a song, and there's this, and there's resolution, and I talk to them like, oh no, there isn't. That's not how I'm like, bullshit, it isn't. Like you put a lot of work into this one, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like. That it's so hard to end a game like that, especially when you're making choices, because everybody wants it to end. Whether it's Mass Effect, Walking Dead, this, right? They want it to end and be like, I have this ending, and you talk to somebody, and there's like 1,000 different endings. Like, well, that's not a game. Like, that's not the point, right? I think we always talk about it being like the bell, right? You start here, you go out, and you have to come back in for the story to make sense to tell somebody something.
I liked this ending the first time when it was called Donnie Darko.
I hate that movie.
This game is Donnie Darko
It
with
is not
teenage
Donnie
girls.
Darko.
She goes back in
There's
time,
no
and instead
bunny.
of her dying like Donnie does, she lets Chloe die. Spoiler: Donnie kills himself in the end.
I liked it better when it was called Butterfly Effect. Ashton Kutcher.
Kutcher. I saw the butterfly in the corner. I'm like, all right, until dawn.
The other character I had a question about for everyone was, did you end up shooting Frank, or
No.
did you end up like recruiting him to help you?
Dude, he was super buddy with me. Yeah, no, I got him on my side.
I shot him in the leg.
Why didn't
Shot
you
him in the
rewind
leg?
and fix it?
Oh.
I was happy with my choice. I was happy with where it
How
went.
did you shoot him in the leg?
I ended up making choices because I didn't like Max. Like, she annoyed me. So
yeah.
I'd make choices that were like, yeah, fuck it. Let that dude know that I told the principal that he had a gun. Like, I would
Yeah.
just make
Yeah.
choices
Yeah,
willy-nilly
yeah,
that were
yeah.
like, who cares if Max gets hurt because of this?
Sure.
Yeah, I think you have to progress, and again, it goes to like the story element. You had to have had, I think you had to have the gun with you at the time,
So you didn't give the gun to Frank, or Frank didn't take the gun from you in the first encounter.
No, because I tried to shoot him.
You tried to shoot him, and he just left.
Yeah, he leaves.
So you had it later.
Right. Oh, yeah, I tried to shoot him. Yes, then I had it later, and then you end up shooting him. I think you can also kill him.
Oh yeah, you can kill him. You can kill the dog.
Yeah.
It's super sad.
Oh, yeah, I was
figured about the dog because I could throw it in the road or I throw it in the parking lot. I threw it in the parking lot.
I was
Oh
very
no, not
careful
even that.
about
Like the dog, when it runs out, out of the motorhome, you pull up your gun and shoot the dog.
All right, so
And he's like, "You killed my fucking dog," and then you shoot him.
you
No
too,
one can know
bitch.
about the death of the dog.
It's true. It brings up kind of an interesting point, though, because there's so many points or so many moments in this game where people who like Frank, you view them as the bad guy, but then if you pursue that thread, you realize that they're not.
Well, that's all this
like
game
all
is.
the bad guys are actually really not that
Well,
bad,
because
Except for
except
one.
for the guy that's supposed to be the good guy, who's the bad
Right,
guy.
sometimes in life you think people are bad, but then they turn out to be good.
You just have to understand their perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
that's
don't feel
really,
like that, like with Victoria or whatever.
Oh, no.
Pumped the whole way.
I tried with her
worst.
early on after dropping paint.
I was
on
gonna
her.
say, yeah.
Comforting her?
Yeah.
I was like, smile, bitch.
And
I
then
took a photo of
later
her.
she was like, don't think we're best friends or anything. I was like, all right, that's it. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It's on.
Speaking, by the way, of Victoria, this is reminding me of it. Did you find the shower scene creepy? Because,
The
like,
shower
remember
scene?
in episode 1, she takes the shower, and the girls are like, or
They're
maybe
making
it's in
fun
of
episode
Kate.
2 or something. Yeah, they're making fun of Kate, and they're like, write the thing on
Yeah,
the mirror.
yeah.
But before Victoria comes in, there's like 45 seconds of Max in the shower where she's like, and I'm like,
No. That
'cause
was
Max
really
is,
immersive for me.
Max is
That's-
18.
I like that.
I thought it was fine. I thought,
Max
honestly,
is 18, but she looks 14, and I felt
yeah.
very wrong.
I was really worried about that. Like, about that scene in particular. I thought it was going to go in a really creepy place, and I thought it didn't. Because it's very much just like her wetting her hair, and like, you see this.
But I could have
Yeah.
cut straight to Victoria walking in and had the same
Yeah.
experience.
But
It felt
it's-
so
You
unnecessary
needed
for
to
me.
know what it felt like to be
You
in the
don't,
shower.
you don't want
Meg.
to see a head shower? Come on.
I don't want to see
You
it.
don't see her one.
So what did you do with her and Chloe? I mean, did you get them skinny dipping together, or like bra and panty and swimming?
I didn't get that far.
Yeah. I'm sure I did.
But yeah, overall, I mean, I think that it's worth it. I don't think know what it is right now. $20 or something.
Yeah, it's $20.
What?
And it's like
Well, they put out that definitive
yeah.
edition.
a 15-hour game or so.
Here's the
Yeah,
other
it's
thing
15
I had.
hours if you go as fast as you can.
Okay.
We're just
Really?
eluding all
10
the secondary stuff.
Yeah, I think my first 2 chapters were 2 and 2.5 hours, and I was trying to zip through as fast as I
okay,
could.
okay.
So
So ultimately,
At
though,
least 10 hours.
with the way the game ends, nothing that you did the entire game mattered.
It's like
Does
life.
that bother you?
it is like life because your life is.
You keep
useless.
saying it's like life. I just committed 15, 20 hours of my life to the game, and no
But you got a
choice
story.
I made.
You got a story.
got
I
an
did get a great story.
experience?
No choice I made at any point during the game, except for the last one, mattered to anybody.
But
Yeah,
it's not.
full of choice though.
It's not about like it's like your philosophy. Like, is the journey about the destination, or is it about enjoying the journey? And I
That's
enjoyed
fair.
the journey, so I mean, I'm happy.
I
with
do
it.
enjoy the journey. I think it was a really.
It's the
good
same
story.
thing. Like, I wasn't upset with the Mass Effect ending for the same reason. It's like, well, I had 3 games of fun,
Yeah.
and it boiled down to this choice, which wasn't the ideal ending, but I was happy that it was concluded and like the whole world was done. Though I felt like the world existed and lived because I had left my impression on it.
But I also feel like there's a way to do it, like the latest Walking Dead season. We won't spoil it because this isn't a spoiler cast for Walking Dead, but you can end up in a few different locations
Sure.
with a different amalgamation of people. So, like, there are stories in which they branch out, and there are different people who are alive or dead or whatever in your game.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that.
Well, we did.
What I was- I'm
we
sorry.
did have that. I mean, some people could
That's
have been
true,
alive
like,
or
you
dead,
shot
but,
Sure,
but
sure.
it didn't matter in the end.
Yeah.
You know, it had no effect.
I mean, it's, at any point when you're talking to these developers, they're trying to tell a story, right? And that's what I always talk about, again, not to spoil this, isn't it? But for Last of Us, right? When Last of Us got to its last scene, I remember waiting for the choice to pop up. And when the choice didn't pop up, and I was like, oh, fuck, all right, well, bam, bam. And I was like, holy shit, like, that changed my entire perception of that character, and I don't like where this ends in terms of, like, how I feel, but I really respect that they were like, this is the story. You know what I mean?
I didn't even give it a second thought. I didn't. I was like, yeah, we're getting out of here, motherfucker.
I was like, fuck choice.
Yeah.
I've made my choice.
Other people were like, oh,
We'll
that was
talk about
really
this
hard.
off camera.
They were like, it was really
Yeah.
hard. I had to really think about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't think at all. I didn't want
Think
like.
about.
Yeah.
Come on. I guess it all boils down to I fucking hate humanity in all of the games I play. and I would have absolutely let a tornado destroy the town to get my sweet lesbian lovin'.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I consume a lot of content: TV, movies, video games, books.
We get it. You're smart.
No, it's not that I'm smart. It's
I
that
watch a lot of
it's that-
TV. Very
very
I'm
smart.
very smart.
What I'm saying here is I got no life, okay? It's a much sadder statement. But the point is that at the end of the day, if you go through and you get to the end of one of these and you actually feel something, even if it's not a pleasant feeling, then it's really done something
Sure.
valuable narratively. Like
Did-
now, I'm actually invested in it.
And even though did you feel something at the end of Life is
I
Strange?
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, I absolutely did. Yeah, it really, it got me to that point where I got to the end of it, and I finished it at 2 a.m. last night.
Sobbing.
And just, not,
Emotional wreck.
They were interior tears,
Sure,
right? But they
sure.
were there, and
Interiors.
I just stared at the ceiling for like an hour after that because I was like, "Fuck, all right, that's in my brain from now on."
Aw, you were laying in bed like, should I have let her die?
It's a choice. It's like, well, what does it mean? Like, did any of it happen? Did she just was she in this situation? It was so traumatizing in the bathroom that this is all just her escape from it, or I mean, there's so many different ways
Oh,
you can
you're
turn
gonna
it, and look
vanilla
at it.
sky it here.
You could. I mean, it may be that none of it happened.
Open
This
your
fan
eyes,
theory will blow
Ryan.
your mind.
Ooh. One more question.
What?
I have one last question. When did you figure out it was Jefferson?
I don't think it was until the when it got revealed.
Yeah,
That's
I
a real-
never, I wasn't thinking, I was so caught up in more of like, what the, I could, for a while I was like, how the fuck is this tornado, how would I even stop a tornado? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Then you have to realize, oh, it's because of me, but whatever. But no, it wasn't until I remember when he gave the injection, I was like, oh shit!
He was like, oh.
Not you,
It's like,
Mr.
and it's like,
Jefferson.
oh, okay, I guess that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
The note on the computer when you're exploring the lab, and it's the character at the time like goes, oh man, his dad's really fucked up.
Yeah.
That pegged it for me though, because he didn't sign it.
Yep.
And at this point, we'd really gone through and realized, and part of it was the fact that I'd gotten to a point with Frank, where I could see the Frank was not the asshole. I got to the point with David where I could see David was not the asshole. And I even got to a point with Nathan where you could see, like, Nathan is fucked up, but it's not necessarily his fault. Like, he's being pushed to do this.
As a quick aside, did you beat the shit out of Nathan, or did you, like, not?
I pulled Warren off him.
Oh.
I
But
stopped
Warren is your war dog.
I beat the shit. Or I let Warren beat the
Boy,
crap
dude,
out.
Warren
beat the
is
shit out of him.
beast.
And then I pulled him off, and then he pulled the gun, and I was like, "Oh fuck that! Rewind it." Now you're getting your head kicked in. You piece
You
of
let him
shit.
have it.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, well, everybody that it is set up to be the bad guy
Yeah.
is
yeah.
not the bad guy.
Except for Victoria. Cunt.
Even she has like an underlining of not cunt.
Cunt.
Cunt. Thank you.
Okay, fine. But so they built all these characters up, and then it's like, well, the juxtaposition of that is the guy that's the hero, the one that's supposed to be good and pure and your hope. That's where the turn's got to be, right? Because that's the only one that would matter at this point.
And you're right.
And that note was where I was like,
So it's nothing that would ever
Somebody-
help you in real life. It's
it's
just when
not
you're
his dad.
consuming a story, you think
But
about
what-
characters.
What if,
well, there was no other options in the
Yeah.
story either.
what if it had been Warren? Would you have felt
N-
even more betrayed?
That would have blown me away. But I didn't think Warren had access to Nathan's basement.
I felt like it could have been Warren and Nathan, like in a, like Scream 1, where it
Yeah.
turns out to be
Oh,
the two guys
yeah.
working
Uh-huh.
together. It could have been that.
Spoiler,
Good.
Jesus.
But
I'm sorry, 1994.
I was gonna
hit
watch that
Scream
tonight.
1.
You made it this far. But so there was something in the note about, I have still so much to teach you and things like that. It had a lot of leading statements that, in retrospect, make even more sense.
And that
but
was
at
the
time,
thing. In
yeah.
retrospect, I remember when I sat down to talk to my girlfriend about it afterwards, and she and she explained all that, and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't even think about that, because they had done such a good job of, here's a note from dad shitting on you, and here's something
Yeah.
else from dad, and he hates you, and then here were these things that were like, yeah, you're a disappointment, do this, no.
But if you didn't read all that stuff, if you didn't actually root through everything in the room,
Right.
then you'd still have a great time, still have a good experience, but you wouldn't have seen that clue.
Yeah.
So it's so easy to not have that experience.
That's the problem with these games, right? I mean, Firewatch, you brought up, and that was the same thing with me, where Firewatch ended, and I was like, and I talked to somebody else, I'm like, well, why was there this thing over here? And they were like, again, not a Firewatch spoiler cast. And I'm like, oh, well, this, and did you see this? And I'm like, no, I didn't see any of that stuff. So this huge segment made no sense to me.
See, I agree, and again, not spoiler cast for Firewatch,
Spoiler
but
watch.
spoiler watch.
Yeah.
But I did root through everything, and I still felt like, why?
Oh, yeah.
Why Firewatch did you burn me? I didn't even mean it like that. I'm not very smart.
Alright.
We should pick a new game.
You should watch
So
more
you're out.
TV.
Pick a new game.
Pick a new game.
Okay, so you're out. The other three of us are in.
What does that mean?
He's not gonna be
No, I'm saying we like the game.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Cylinder.
say no. We say three.
Yes.
Gone too far.
We three say yes.
It's gone too far.
This must end.
Let me just tell you that the cylinder hasn't gone far enough.
It went too far as well. It also went.
I was gonna say this is looking really light. I'm really suspicious.
I'm
here.
excited. Hey, I will say not everything in there has the same words written on it.
Let's see. Kindred spirits on the roof.
Yep. Okay. Next game for Game Club.
Kindred spirits on the roof.
Okay, keep going.
This is the one about the lesbian ghost.
Sex game.
Yeah.
I want to play this one.
It's the same one.
They're the same game.
Super hot lesbian sex game.
That's all the joke
Kindred
was.
spirits on the roof.
There we go.
Kindred spirits on the roof. All right,
Yes.
we're playing super hot lesbian sex
Yes, super hot lesbian sex game.
I like
game. You
the
can play
idea
two if you
that.
want, Greg.
Oh, good. Okay, thanks for the information.
I
Kindred
love the
spirits
idea
on the
that we would
roof.
all show up next time and have played different lesbian hot sex games.
Kindred Spirits on the Roof is about two ghosts who have met after they've died, and they decide that they want to have lesbian sex with one another, but they don't understand how lesbian sex works or how Google works. So instead, you have to go and convince your female classmates to fuck each other so the ghosts can watch and then figure out how to fuck.
Yes.
I'm so excited this game is finally out.
But are video games art? Is the question I want to know.
You know, it was a toss-up between this one and the one where you kill the other girls who senpai notices. Do you guys? It was like banned from Twitch.
Yandere Simulator?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yandere Simulator. Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back with lesbian sex in a month.
I look forward to learning about it too.
Yeah, execute that bitch. Like, I'm gonna be as evil as possible when I'm the bad guy.
You'll have like split personality, Meg.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be setting,
Yeah.
you'll
Well, that's
be
what I
playing
was
against
thinking,
yourself.
right? Because
Yeah.
it is that risk reward. Because it was basically like, we could kill her and then it'll get out and people hate us, or we frame him and make his life tougher on him. Now
But
that he's
you're
out
the
there.
good guy, so you don't
exactly.
want that to
And so I was
happen.
like, fuck, well, I don't want her to die, so I chose to make life harder on my character going forward or whatever. But